iManage, a leader in advanced artificial intelligence and powerful document and email management, recently announced the end of life, or EOL, for all 9X versions of its classic clients and add-ons. This move will end support for its core legacy products after December 2023, with the introduction of iManage Work 10. So what does this mean for your organization? It means changes are on the horizon, and organizations will need to leverage technology to meet these changes head on. And that's just what we'll be doing in this episode. Stay tuned as we break down the iManage EOL, discuss strategies to deal with this transition, and what helpful tools exist to guide you through. Welcome in, everyone. It's a nice rainy day in Philly right now, so what better way to spend it than recording here with you all? This week, I'm excited because we're talking iManage EOL, what it means, what you need to do, and all that jazz. I'll be joined by Adam Zajicek, a friend and someone I've worked extensively with already regarding iManage. Adam has been working in legal tech for almost as long as I've been alive, 25 years in his case, and serves as one of MicroStrategy's premier solutions consultants. He's just about the most keyed in person to everything iManage, if I had to wager a bet. Adam will also be sticking around for next week's episode, where we'll shift to some topics like AI, the future of legal tech, hiking, and the Terminator. Yeah, you don't want to miss that one. Without further ado, let's get into part one of our conversation with Adam Zajicek. So, Adam, thank you for joining me. You and I have already worked together a little bit before on our iManage End of Life Let Us Guide You video, but first time having you on the podcast. So if you wouldn't mind just giving the listeners a little idea of who you are, what you do, and where you work.
My name's Adam Zajicek. I'm the iManage practice lead at MicroStrategies Inc., based out of New Jersey. I've been, in IT going on 25 years. I've been working around legal market since 2005. I've started, at a low end, help desk support, and have worked my way through everything, and have become the iManage practice lead here at MicroStrategies. On a daily basis, I am here to help advise people where to go, what they could do with the iManage platform and different, enterprise content management systems. Uh, Give them the best of all worlds, incorporating everything from their Microsoft side all the way through any document management system they may have to make life much easier for them going forward.
So you kind of mentioned it right there, the types of issues that you help clients with on the daily. How long have you been doing this, in legal tech or just tech, however you want to phrase it?
I probably I've been dealing with IT for probably 25 years now. In the legal space for about 17 years. Um, you know, it's it's an ever evolving, life. I mean, you start in one area and you divulge into another. I mean, I started as, a help desk analyst. I was a high level Microsoft engineer. I still have a big background in Microsoft. But I've evolved in time and saw, this niche that people need help with, to understand how to support their environment, how to easily find data, how to, keep things flowing to make productivity better for themselves.
You kind of touched on it a little bit here, but the idea that, helping people, do their job easier, making their job simpler for them. And you sort of mentioned how you've been doing this now for, in the IT space for 25 years, 17 years in legal tech. Um, how has the last, few years, the last 3 years, been different than, your previous experience in the space? I mean, the advancement of, hybrid work and this hybrid work explosion, I feel like there's got to be a market difference for someone who's been in the field for so long. I'm sort of a newbie to legal tech, but for someone like yourself, it's got to feel like a market difference. from the previous or before hybrid work to now.
Yeah, there is big differences. I mean, years ago, everybody was building their infrastructure on-prem. We need servers, we need this, we need that. Everything was on-prem. With, when COVID hit, everyone's now working remotely. How can we securely and, keep our people working fluently while they're not in our office? And that's where, moving to the cloud, moving, everything off-prem, trying to minimize your footprint there. Um, in the legal space, people work in, money out. If you can give them a monthly cost per user, it makes life a lot easier to move into that hybrid space. Yes, the upfront cost may seem more, but in the long run, you actually end up saving a bit more money by moving many things out into the cloud. You're eliminating your mail servers, your document management servers. There's many things that you can, eliminate and keep flowing. From a legal aspect, I mean, if you think about how attorneys work, I mean, 90% of their work is email and documents. I mean, the other 10% is around billing. So if you can get those two big guys out in the cloud, pretty much hosted your entire environment that can function from anywhere at any time.
It seems like a pretty sustainable model, all things considered, at least from the technology standpoint. I mean, do you think most firms are understanding of this, even like sort of these legacy firms, or like, is there hesitation, if the idea is like, okay, well, the tech is there for us to make hybrid work sustainable, but maybe the personalities aren't, maybe workers aren't ready for that. Do you think firms are how do you think firms are grappling with that sort of balance?
I think firms are coming around a bit more. There's always hesitation. Well, my data's somewhere else. How do I have control of it? How do I do this? Well, most people don't understand in a cloud hybrid infrastructure, security is a lot greater than what they could possibly have on-prem for a lot less cost.
Hmm.
Keeping people adapting to new technologies, that's the hard part. Lawyers do not like change. Change is bad. Um, but you need to, bring them around granularly and show them slowly, how this change is going to make their lives a lot easier. Um, it's one of those that with people, you have to gradually bring them in, not a drastic change all up front, slowly change. And you can do that moving into the cloud. There's different ways you can start with, slowly moving mail out, slowly moving your document management system out, not changing the interfaces too gradually, training your end users, making sure they're up to par on everything that's coming out, explaining why we're moving this way, you know, really teach them about the cloud.
Change is a bad thing. Adam Zajicek, 2022. Can I quote you on that for this podcast?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I agree though. I think uh, lawyers are definitely, I feel like creatures of habit. Most of us are, but especially, I mean, in a profession like that has such a legacy of not incorporating technology into it, and it's fast. Yeah, I get why firms are, slightly hesitant. But I do agree, like, I think the more you can do to make it a slow and easy, not an all at once change, it's more digestible for sure.
Yeah. You have to, you have to look that there's many avenues to see this from. Yes, we have our lawyers who've been doing this for decades. They are set
Hmm.
in their ways. Some of them still use handwritten sheets to do their time and they hand it to someone to enter for them. But in order to get these new and upcoming attorneys into your environment, you need to give them the latest and greatest technologies. They want to be able to work on the move anywhere they are. They don't want to have to be glued to a desk. Hey, if I want to, sit at home, I can work. If I want to use my iPad, which, or iPhone, which I don't understand how some of them can because I can barely see my phone. Um, you know, you want to give them that ability. You To attract new young blood, you need to advance, where by advancing, you also need to have adaptability from your older attorneys.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think the conversation around sort of getting the new blood to work with the old blood and pick up some of these new tools of the trade. I think we've had this conversation a couple times on this show, or similar conversation at least, surrounding Microsoft Teams, and that when you look at the demographics, like I can't remember the numbers straight off my head off the top of my head, but Microsoft Teams, if you subtract like the 10% that of people that are using it in college, as their university has it set up or whatever, the wide majority of Teams users are, this sort of new millennial workforce that's entering in and everything, and they're really driving that method of communication and collaboration and everything. So I agree. I think you can make the same. It's not just Teams. That those type of trends happen with multiple technologies. But yeah, no, that's just um, an interesting connector. Which, by the way, I mean, you're a Microsoft guy. Are you a Teams guy?
Teams guy. I use
Oh
Teams
yeah,
nonstop. It's my go-to for all meetings. It's included in my Microsoft subscription. Why should I pay money for another platform when this has everything I need built in?
yeah.
It's included in my subscription. I mean, it's even along the lines of other avenues. You have SAML authentication and different things like that. You can really secure your environment around that Microsoft platform you have. Everyone uses Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook. They're hosting their mail in the cloud now. By adding a few little features, you can now securely, turn on SAML authentication. You can turn on multi-factor authentication. You're really making sure your mobile workforce is properly authenticating, properly accessing what they need to access, and not allowing other people to get into your environment that don't belong there.
Yeah, I mean, Teams or Microsoft is in everything that we use already, and it just makes sense that they would create one of the most efficient and collaborative communication platforms as well. I mean, it's kind of a layup there. Moving from one DMS though to another, we talked extensively about iManage and the iManage end of life when you and I met. I guess what was that, a month ago at least at this point.
A month ago.
Yeah. Uh, I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about it then, or now as well. See if see if any of your takes have changed since the last time we spoke. I would imagine no, but I guess yeah, just for our listeners. I mean, we've talked about it before, but iManage has announced the upcoming end of life of legacy some of their legacy tools and legacy platforms and everything like that. So I guess Adam, just what's your take on the iManage end of life? Could be whatever aspect you want to pick it from. Do we think that the market is taking this seriously? Do we think that that firms are doing their due diligence, or I don't know, just what's your overall take?
I see people taking it in two aspects. One, they have to consider this. They have no choice. If they want to continue using iManage, they have to get away from these legacy products. Um, the downfall of legacy products is, a new version comes out, you now have to upgrade a multitude of machines to the latest version. With the new, Work 10 product, you can actually have this upgrade automatically for your users when a new version comes out. You don't have to walk around to all these machines. You don't have to span maintenance windows. Hey, we're going to be down. We're upgrading 100 PCs, 200 PCs, etc. We can slowly upgrade everybody. We can, allow them to have the latest and greatest features at all times. By moving to the cloud, your server backends are now being managed by iManage, for example. Your client interface is technically up to you. You can specify, hey, we want to set up our own update server. We want to let iManage send the updates down to us. It makes this a much more streamlined process, less overhead for those IT departments to allocate around, upgrading systems, and more time, they could spend working on new technologies, making things easier for their workforce. Even, just spending that time training their users. Hey, new features came out. Here are the new features. This is what you're going to get. They could write up documentation before it's released and have this out to people.
So, I mean, the way you're describing it, it's obviously a massive undertaking, but is it really as imposing or as scary on its surface? I mean, I know you said firms are
I
obviously they need to be taking this seriously, but I mean, there's help out there for them, right?
Oh, there's help out there from many aspects. I mean, there's many vendors who do this type of work. It's really doing this so you ease your people in. Looking at, you know, the change between file site, desk site, moving to the Work 10 platform. You're you're talking really a graphical difference. There is not much out there, other than a graphical change. And that's the hardest part for people to adjust to. Hey, it looks different. I don't like the change in look. This is where change is bad comes in place.
Hmm.
But once they get adjusted to it, it usually takes most people 2 to 3 weeks to fully adjust. They realize how much simpler the new interface actually is. And the fact that the new interface is built off of a REST API, you can customize many things outside of your typical iManage realm. You can integrate with many applications as long as they're built on that REST API platform. You can actually expand what you do today into other areas and have it integrate with your document management system or your other systems you work with.
So when you start looking at some of the things firms have to start doing to actually make sure that this process is as painless as possible, I mean, one of the things we talk about at length is sort of data cleansing, and workspace generation, specifically data cleansing. Scarier than it sounds, or what's your take? Easy?
You
Hard?
know, data cleansing is not a difficult aspect. Um, Firms get very panicky though when it comes down to data cleansing. Uh, you know, Throughout time, people come and go. And most of these firms, hey, someone left the firm, I'm just going to disable that iManage account. And if you do this for, depends how long you've been using it. I mean, it could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. By just disabling accounts, you may only have 100 licenses, but you have 1,000 people in that system. Their biggest fear is, well, what if I need to find a document from John Smith who left the firm 5 years ago? There are ways we can, manipulate data, use other metadata fields so you can still look up who wrote the original document while you clean up everything that needs to be cleaned up. Um, you don't want to bring bad data in. By moving to the cloud, it gives you the ability to kind of start fresh in a sense. Get rid of all the old users that are not there. Remove any bad files, orphan files, or 0 byte files that really are null data. You want to get it cleaned up. That's the easy part. Um, the hardest part is, hey, my users need to be able to find old documents, and how do they do that? And that's where, you need to use some other fields, move the author field into another custom field and then start, telling them, hey, here's a new box. If you're looking for something that someone wrote, search in this field, not in the author field, search in the legacy author field, etc.
Utilize that metadata too, as much as you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
metadata is your friend. It's very powerful.
So, any sort of final thoughts about the iManage end of life? I mean, I know like I said, you and I have talked ad nauseum about it, but yeah, I just feel like there's is obviously a huge undertaking, and we just want to make sure that listeners know what they need to do and what they need to be looking out for.
You know, from that aspect, the last thing I want to say, if you're still using your, com integration, you're still using file site and desk site, you're still on prem, even in the cloud using file site or desk site, you really want to talk to one of your partners, or a partner. You want to make the move. You want to do this in a timely manner. End of support is June of 2023. End of life is December 2023. You really want to get these talks in process, ready to go, so you're not missing these dates. You have an issue after June and you're still on that legacy system, you may not get the answers you need. You're going to be forced to move at a much faster pace. Um, really time this out. Get your budgets ready to go. You're going to have to factor in training, everything for your end users. Be prepared. Talk to your vendors, the different integrators. Talk to many. Get some options. See who's got the best option for you. Everybody has a different take on how they do this. You want to make sure you're fitting the need of your people, not the need of your wallet. You want, cheapest is not always the best. Highest is not always the best. You really want to make sure you get everything you need out of this work and take advantage. There's other aspects you may have been exploring in the past and it wasn't capable. Maybe now is the time to look, hey, what else can we integrate with this platform? This is the time to consider these things.
And we're back. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more comfortable about the iManage end of life after that. Maybe still cautious, but optimistic that this is something your firm can do. And you'll have plenty of help along the way too. And like I said at the end of our discussion, Adam will be featured in our upcoming iManage EOL educational video. So yeah, you don't want to miss that. Tons of helpful information there. Well, that'll do it for us in today's episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn at Prosperoware, soon to be Latera Governance, to stay up to date on all our content and announcements. I'm Mike Zawissa, and this is Prosperotune.